Hello and welcome to this episode of the Reset Podcast. I'm your host, Laura Mignot. This is part of my 29 Days of Magic series where I interview an amazing Black woman every single day for Black History Month. And I am so delighted to have Stephanie Oge, who's a textile artist and the founder of SOGÉ Studio. I'll talk about fashion and textiles and patterns. It's going to be a great conversation. Take a listen. Hey, Stephanie.
Hey, how are you?
Good, interviewing people like a bad woman.
I'm excited to be here.
Good. You should. I'm happy to have you here. So, the way the podcast works, I would ask the same first question, and I'm always delighted by the answers. I'm sure yours will be no different. So, Stephanie, what was your first job?
My first job ever?
Yeah.
I worked at Foot Action. I was a sales associate, cashier girl, selling sneakers when I was 16.
So you've been selling fashion since you were 16.
Basically,
See?
yeah.
This is why I always ask this question, because it's always fascinating. Whatever job folks end up thinking of, always sort of correlates to what they do now. Like there's some little nugget in there, and
nobody's ever asked me what was your first job ever.
It is my signature. It works quite well. Okay, so you go from being at Foot Action to having SOGÉ Studio. So what was that career journey like?
I would say I was in high school at that time, and then I went to FIT.
Of course you did.
Which my parents were like, "Why are you going to school for fashion design?" I'm like, "Well, I want to be a fashion designer." And they're like,
"What are you doing?
We didn't come to the country for you to be a fashion designer."
Of course. I guess first gens, this is the same question we all get asked. What are you doing?
Yeah, why? So I went to FIT in the city, the whole city life, going to school there. It was like a job at FIT. I feel like I wasn't in college because you're dead smack in the city, and
right.
You're hustling
to get to class.
School at 2 a.m. I'm talking to my friends. They're doing stuff on their campus at football games, and we're just dead smack, just grinding. So I was in the city. I graduated from FIT after a 4-year program. Then I started working in the industry as a fashion designer. As I was working as a fashion designer, I quickly realized that I didn't love it as much, and I appreciated the art side of it more. So I would wait on our CAD departments to pump out the artwork that we would request. And I had this one friend, David, that would just give me a Wacom pen and try using this, and then he would teach me little things here and there. And I appreciated that so much. And then one day I decided, let me just try to make one of my own artworks instead of bothering the CAD department for something. I did it, and then I realized, oh, you're pretty good at this. Then when that job ended, I then went and started freelancing within the industry. Let's say House of Darion. I was working on graphics there. Then I was at 9 West and different companies now as a graphic artist in their art department. But when you're working in the art department, it's a different vibe versus creating what you feel is, coming from your soul. So when my freelance, tenure ended, I was like, I should just start a studio. I see all these people coming in and doing a studio. I just randomly said, hey, I'm going to start the studio. I don't want anybody to be in charge of my paycheck anymore. I'm just going to do it. And that's how I got to starting SOGÉ.
Wow.
Yeah.
You just I'm done with this.
Yeah. Basically, it was I dropped, not the mic, but I dropped my pencil down.
Here's my Wacom pencil. Go.
Yeah. I'm done.
So tell us about SOGÉ Studio, because when we were chatting about it the other day, I was just like, this is awesome. I can't believe a studio like this exists. So tell us.
So my industry is very niche. Nobody really knows how they get their prints on their garments. So with SOGÉ, it's a team of 4 designers. We create artwork and we sell it to fashion companies and home companies. And we sell the artwork. It's basically a pattern that will then go onto your clothing. So this is what the gist of the company is about. And people don't realize that there's trade shows for this. I go to Paris, I go to China to sell around the world our art that's coming from Brooklyn, New York, from SOGÉ Studio.
So talk about, so this is the thing I think folks don't realize. How does this actually work? How do you guys actually do this?
The process?
Yes.
Okay, so it's, first off, you have to study what your clients have been purchasing. You have to understand what's going on within the fashion industry right now. What are people gravitating towards? Let's say there was a big boom on tie-dye prints 2 years ago. Right. But we were already working on those a year prior to showing it to our clients. So we're saying, you know, we're kind of trend forecasting
yeah.
as well. And we're just trying to figure out, you know, what will be the next thing. And then we are pretty much the trendsetters. You don't realize, like, I'm a trendsetter sitting in front of you right now because let's say DKNY Active is coming to me and saying, Steph, what do you think is going to be, you know, next year? And we roll in with a suitcase full of artwork and basically showing this is like artwork that will work with your company, and this is artwork that will set you apart from possibly another company.
So you're the reason where tie-dye was everywhere, like in the last year.
Me and a couple other studios, yeah.
Wow. And so what makes you think that, like, hey, tie-dye is going to make a return?
Because sometimes you can see, like, from, let's say, on Instagram, social media, you may see one celebrity wearing it, and then you see another person, and then you say, like, okay, something is going to continue to go on with this. You have to analyze how people are doing stuff. And then it could be one runway show that a designer, let's say Tom Ford, all of a sudden decided, I'm going to do retro florals. And then that became a trend that he did. And then clients were like, oh, did you see the Tom Ford retro floral? And we're like, yeah, we saw it. And sometimes we just keep on designing into that and then pushing it forward to see where can this go, you know, from here a year from now.
Wow. So, because I love all things fashion, and I always wear patterns, especially the number we saw all my Farm Rio stuff.
And I'm barely a pattern person.
Although today I'm very monochromatic. But like, so, you know, what's that world like for you? Like, how do folks find you? Like, are you solely fashion industry, or is it like movies, or all that stuff? Like, tell us more about it.
Right now it's solely fashion, but we've been selling to home companies, and home companies have been getting our artwork and putting it on, let's say, maybe on a beach umbrella for outside, or we sell sometimes to handbag companies as well. But people find us through social media. I get a lot of random web messages saying, like, hey, I saw you on Instagram. And I don't even post a lot because I don't have time to, like, the back end, and even the designers don't have time to do it. So they'll find me there in the trade shows. Let's say I finished a trade show last week, and people who weren't there then went and looked to see who was over there, and then they saw SOGÉ Studio, and then I got appointments from that this week that I've just, like, going in and doing these appointments.
So it's still very much you go in person and actually show the fabric.
Yeah, but because of the pandemic, we started doing things via Zoom, but clients still appreciate in person.
Right.
You know, we would hop on a flight. I would just go on a flight from here to Florida, hop in a car, let's say go to Perry Ellis, then go to another company and another company, bang this out in one trip, sell prints, come back, start creating again with the team, and then doing it all over again.
That's incredible. So like I said, I love Farm Rio, I love Yumi Kim, and like, because I love patterns and I love wearing my
Farm Rio is a trailblazer right now with the tropical market and the fun, painterly gestured. You know, it's a vibe. Farm Rio for sure. Yeah,
and it's like, it's just different. It feels a little. I think, you know, we're all kind of like, I'm wearing sweatpants.
Yeah, so, and it's expressive.
Right.
That's the beauty of it.
And so that's really cool. So for you all, like, okay, what's coming next?
What's coming next? I would say block stamp prints they've been having a good traction recently, where it's maybe a 2 to 3 tone print, and it's this just stamp and doesn't have, like, a lot of dimension to it.
Ooh.
That's been going pretty well. Blurred florals. You'll probably see a lot of blurred florals coming at the end of the year and next year. So instead of a lot of companies who are able to push a little bit with their clientele, we're doing these abstract florals that are blurred and washed out, and every time we've been designing them, I've been designing them mostly, they've been selling. So I'm sticking to this, and it's something that was, like, in my brain and in my head, and I was like, I'm gonna push it and see.
Wow. So it's like you're just like, let me just dream this up and let me figure it out.
Yeah, so I sometimes test people, you know. I test myself with when I'm doing artwork, when I have the opportunity, because as the company grew, I cannot do art all the time, and that's why I have a team of talented artists I work with, and they do art as well. But I create mood boards and I show it to them, but for myself, sometimes I don't have a mood board. I just design and I go with what's in my soul, and a lot of those prints tend to sell.
That's amazing.
And I cannot give anybody a mood board of what is in my soul, basically.
No, that would be you.
Yeah.
So that would be a little bit hard. That would be a touch to my
Yeah.
So running this business, so when you think about what you've been doing so far, what do you think you'd probably tell 21-year-old Stephanie when she's grinding at FIT?
To not take things so seriously. While I was, 20 years old at FIT, to have maybe explored a bit more and not have been in the technical mindset that's what that school kind of does to you at times. It makes you very technical. And when I went to their study abroad program in Polimoda in Italy, it was less, it was more expressive. But then when I came back to New York, it came back to that grind in New York.
Gotta do it.
Yeah, so if I could go back to that girl before she graduated, I would have said, you know what, just express yourself. Don't care.
Just go for it.
Just go for it.
Go for it. Mm-hmm. And so what is your day-to-day now? So obviously we had a pandemic. It was ridiculous. How was that for you? How did you survive?
Oh, we had to change a lot of the business. I had to offer clients a different service where what happened was a lot of my clients stopped purchasing artwork and they started to use their archive prints. And they would give it to us. I offered a service where you give us your archive prints, we could adjust it and make it production ready. So we would repeat their prints, do these pitch sheets and technical packages, and send it to the factory. And we were still creating art for the clients that were able to purchase artwork. I had to go instead of in person now to everything being online and building a back-end online database for our clients that they could go in, because if we cannot reach them, how will they
see it?
Yeah. So that's been really well. That's gone really well because we're now able to, instead of taking a flight to Australia, we have our Australian clients logging in and purchasing prints like that. So it's always nice in the morning to get an email, hey, can I buy this print, that they saw online, and we didn't have to do the work of showing the prints. So that's how I had to adjust. I had to go online. I had to offer new services, kind of thinking out that box.
And it's funny because you think about how the pandemic has forced folks to pivot and then modernize and actually do things in a way that's actually more efficient. Because the time it takes you to fly to Australia, that's obviously a 10-day trip.
Yeah.
And now basically someone can just in Australia can just go on. That makes things far more efficient for you all.
Yeah. But it gives us more work too at times because now people want a JPEG. They want something else. We have to then take prints outside of the collections. Then if our agent in California has our collection, I'm selling one thing right now and I have to message her, hey, make sure to take this piece of this header out. Don't show it to the client because I just sold this. So there's always these little things now that we have. It's always making sure that there's no confusion.
Of course,
yeah.
Because now with technology, it adds a whole other layer of no, don't do that. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, and I feel a little bit of the mystery's gone because before, our clients wouldn't know what we're coming in, what's in that suitcase. But now, because if they actually go in and shop online, they could kind of get a hint of what's coming in. And, I just finished an appointment yesterday and my client goes, oh yeah, I saw that one online. I'm so happy to see it in person. And she bought it. But she already saw it,
Right.
It's a little bit of the mystery's gone at times, but it's still efficient for sure.
Cool. And so, obviously going through the pandemic, it was bananas. Talk to me about a time when you thought, okay, this is never going to work, and then you made it through.
I would say maybe 3 months after, let's say after that day that New York said we were shutting down.
Oh, March.
And that's when, now I'm having to cut overhead. Now I'm having to let people go because our sales are different now and I have to be conservative. And I'm sitting there thinking everything, because 2019 was the year my business was recognized within my industry and people were now emailing me I didn't have to email people, so now people were sourcing and searching for SOGÉ Studio after seeing us in Paris, after seeing us in China, after seeing us in the States. So 2020 was going in as this
year.
My sales associate Jonathan, he's like, Steph, we're gonna do this. This is our year. We finally, And then now I'm sitting there leaving. I was by myself in our office, and I was all by myself packing things up to put in storage, because it made no more sense to have this studio space, because we didn't know when we were going to be in person again. Every week it was a different story, it was something else, and that made me just sit. I was in that, singing that song all by myself, and I was just like, what do I do now? What do I do now? But I never gave up, because I'm like, I can't, this is my baby, I can't give up. And so I just kept on going, and Masha is one of the designers. She was like, she's my right hand, and she rocked with me. She believed in me, and we powered through 2020.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing. It's like same, like Arlene from my team is like my right hand, and she just was like, okay, we're gonna figure this out. Like, we'll just, all right.
Yeah.
Because live events kind of went off a cliff. You're like, well, that's kind of my industry. So what do I do? But yeah, you found a way, pivot, and then we made it through, and then 2021 was like fire. So
yeah,
but it's always so important to have those people who got your back when the chips are down.
Yeah, and then even my family, they would check in, like, you're good, because they seen, my aunts have helped me cut fabric. My mom,
it's a family affair. Yeah,
it was a family affair at the beginning, and then when I was able to start hiring people, it didn't have to be a family affair anymore. And so then, but they were checking in on me, making sure I have friends checking in on me. So that was the beauty of it as well, knowing that I had a community behind me, rooting for me still. And I knew I could never quit, because I put so much in it. I was never backed by anybody. It's been my own money from, the beginning. And
it's yours.
Mm-hmm.
So now that we've made it through 2021 and we're into 2022, what do you see the next avenue for you all? Where are you hoping to go?
To the home side. So we tasted a bit. I did New York Now trade show, and we're opening SOGÉ Decor. And that's home. That's doing more custom stuff for events, for people that need anything like a step and repeat, whatever you need, anything that's interiors home. That's where we're going to be, and a lot of more custom. So that's what SOGÉ Decor is. It's going to focus more on custom. We're doing these velvet lush pillows that are printed in Belgium. So, and then they come over here to the States, and we sew everything in the garment district. So everything is made in, pretty much made in New York, printed overseas in Europe.
I moved recently. I need pillows, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So I got you. I'm going to show you the new collection. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because, I usually wear lots of bright colors, and my apartment, for the most part, is, white.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is weird for me, but all the colored items, because of insane, supply chain issues, have not arrived.
Yeah.
So the bright royal blue couch I ordered,
it's still not there. It's still not there.
I have a loaner couch, which is white. I originally ordered a brown dining table, and it broke. Because it was a floor sample, because obviously I was trying to get something as possible.
You just needed something to fill in your space.
Yeah. And so I bitched a lot. I'm good at that. And I ended up giving me a marble top one, which is great, but it's now white. So I'm like, wait.
White. It's white on white on white. Yeah. Now you need your pops of color.
So I need some pops of color. So I'm going to need to go shopping on SOGÉ Studio after this is over. And so for you, what's been the thing where you're I wish folks knew more about blah?
I wish folks knew more about the art side to fashion. I wish folks knew about it, because people just only know the fashion designers, the up-and-coming designers, but people never question to say, hey, where did they get that artwork from? Who actually designed that print that it's in the garment?
They think it's
the designers, but it's not the designer. There's a hand, there's me, there's a team of people that have created, have busted out watercolors, have put everything, digitize it, put it in a system, put it in repetition, then send to a factory that then prints it onto the fabric, and then they could cut and sew and make this garment. But people just see the garment and they never stop to question and think, what was the process? So I would love for people to be aware of the process. For young artists, I didn't know that as an artist that I could take one of my designs and make it into a print and a pattern. I had no clue. And so that, I think, is something that, needs to be important. The awareness of, it doesn't have to actually just be on a garment. Whatever your design is, this could be on any surface. Basically, just bringing more light to that.
So, have you all talked about like doing things, turning some of your artwork into NFTs? Because it sounds like that's sort of like the next logical step.
Yeah, I think that's the next step. I was looking through a lot of the prints in my house, as I told you. We saw them all in my house.
You have them lined up.
And there's a good stack that are going to be turned into NFTs for sure.
That's fantastic. Ooh, I can't wait. I will buy. So, obviously running your own business, being a Black woman in business is, so easy. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
So kidding. What do you do for your self-care?
Self-care, I would say working out. The pandemic made me work out.
Same.
To stay sane, and I realized I didn't know I needed it that much to keep my body moving and in motion. So I say I work out for sure. I have a balance of eating healthy. I'm not saying I'm the most healthiest person in the world, but it's practicing not being gluttonous. Because no, I'm serious.
You're not eating your own head in salad or in burgers.
Basically, my friend, her daughter's a Girl Scout, so I ordered the Girl Scout cookies. I have them in my house, and I'm noticing, we're being a little gluttonous. I took them and I threw them in the garbage. I had to.
You threw away Girl Scout cookies?
Yeah.
You work in a co-working space? You could look on my table?
Yeah, it was just bad. I was in the house. I know I wasn't coming outside. It's cold outside. It was me and the cookies, and the cookies were.
One of you had to go.
Yeah, so I would say practicing not being gluttonous when it comes to food. I started doing ginger shots, and self-care with my skincare routine. I found a company that I love their products, and I started using it a lot.
Do you want to shout out?
Pharmacy.
Oh, cool.
So once I found Pharmacy, it did something else to my skin where if I go to get a facial, my esthetician's like, oh, your skin looks so great. What are you doing?
I'm like, all the things.
Just moisturizing. Yeah. I would say, those three things are my top three.
So for your skincare routine, is it like a whole holy grail of things that you do at night, or like 16 products before you go to bed?
No. To be honest with you, they have this one thing called the honeymoon glow. I'm not gonna lie. I don't wash my face every night. There's times where I brush my teeth. I fall asleep on the couch and I'm, with a print in my hand, and I just can't. But I found this one product that I love, and I put it on my face, and then in the morning, it's like this glow you have. So right now I have no makeup on, and it's just, thank you. I just have like their moisturizer, and it works for me. It might not work for everybody else, but for me it does.
It's what works for you. And so what's the exercise routine?
The exercise routine, let's say sometimes I get on the Peloton bike. Then
you gave in and got a Peloton?
No, my building has one, so I have no space in my house for that. I live in New York. I don't have space all the time like that. So I get on that Peloton maybe 2 times a week, and then I do a lot of the strength classes and weights. I've incorporated weights, and that's how I keep on going. I work out maybe 4 to 5 times a week.
Yeah, no, listen. I mean, same here. I mean, that was what kind of kept me sane. Like I did beach body on demand with a friend of mine, and so we would like have to send ourselves photos. So like it was the
accountability.
That accountability thing was really important, and like I did that pretty much the entire pandemic, like 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And now I have like a trainer because I just need someone to yell at me.
Yeah.
I need and I'm like, okay, because after you do that for a year, like, okay, I'm bored. airport. So now I have like a trainer.
I was working out in the stairwell of my building, just going up and down the stairs during the pandemic.
Because you had to do it.
There was no gym.
There was no gym.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? I bought a bike.
Okay.
I bought a real bike and rode that around the city, up and down the West Side Highway, Greenway, which is fascinating because basically you get to see parts of Manhattan that you didn't normally see.
Yes.
And it was so random, and it was also safe, so I didn't have to like be in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh. And so I always had this like thing where I would listen to a podcast going up, and then coming back home, I would listen to some sort of like hip hop or dance music, so I could pedal faster.
See, I can't listen to anything while I'm riding a bike. I'm a city bike girl, and those heavy bikes are my workout. You know,
those things are.
When the weather's nice, I love riding. There's something about riding a bike that makes you feel free.
Yes, it really does.
You have to watch out where you obviously ride here in Brooklyn and the city, but it's just this freedom you get, and that I did incorporate in 2020, and then even now. I just hop on my little city bike. But working out made me realize the city bike's not that heavy. After I started doing cycling classes, now I feel like, I could get up Lafayette right now.
Oh yeah, I can do that. I mean, like I connected my bike to Strava, and I was like, oh, you did 18 miles. I'm like, how?
Yeah.
It turns out from Lower Manhattan to like up to 125 is like 9 miles each. I'm like,
yeah.
Today I learned.
Yeah, it was beautiful to be able to ride your bike in Midtown and nobody.
It was a ghost town.
Yeah.
This is very strange.
Yeah.
It's very strange. And also, I don't think it'll ever happen again. Because I think that, I think also what's happened with the pandemic is like now, like the idea of like completely shutting down again, it just probably wouldn't happen.
No, I noticed that we did our first trade show in 2 years last week, and maybe trade shows are they might be a dying breed, but people are ready to move forward. That's what I noticed last week. Yeah.
Yeah, because you just kind of have to. And evaluate your risk for your business. Yeah. And so, is this worth my while? Yes. Is it not worth my while? No.
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally agree with you. So it's definitely a very interesting time for all kinds of business.
Yeah, and all businesses.
So of course, because it's 29 Days of Magic, we want to make sure that we get things shouted out. So do you have a give or an ask of the audience?
A give or an ask of them?
You can do both. And so that could be like, go to SOGÉ Studio, or it could be like, here's a great book.
Well, I would say my axe is...
Go for it.
I'm trying to build my own personal brand. So you can follow me at Stephanie Oge. It's SCEPHANIEOGE. That's my Instagram. Follow me, you can follow the brand, but me, and you'll see what's my day-to-day like. I'm going to start being more personal on my Instagram. I'm working.
I know you're working, so like it's hard to do. Listen.
Yeah. So that's an ask, and then a give. What can I give you?
Anything you want. A piece of advice, a great book, pharmacy, the skincare products.
This is my give that I think everybody should do. Have a gratitude book. It's something that I've done for a very long time, and you could always go back a couple years, and see what you were grateful for on a certain day. I would say if everybody could start having one and writing down every day what you're grateful for in that day, and it brings so many more things into perspective.
It's interesting. Like I started doing that last year because I was in this like group chat. God love the group chats. That saved everybody's life.
Yeah.
And one of the guys in the group chat, like he talked about doing this, and he's like married with 2 kids, and he was just like, I started doing this gratitude journal, and it kind of made me feel better. And I was like, this dude to say this? I was like, all right, so for this dude, I'll do it. And I started doing it, and then like last fall, it got so busy that I just like completely fell off. Yeah. And then like 2 weeks ago, I realized I haven't done this in like a month, like 2 months.
It's okay if you fall off. Yeah. There's times where I may fall off because I was so tired that I forgot to do it, but it makes you, even if it's 2 days after, circle back with yourself like, 2 days ago, what was I grateful for? You don't remember the day, you will extract
that day.
And because we're on this level of go, 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 but you have to sit. And I know for myself, it works that I just sit with myself, even if it's for 5 minutes, and just, I write it in my notes on my phone as if I don't have a book, you know?
Yeah, it is somehow healing and calming, especially like, it's still stressful.
Yeah.
It's still traumatic.
Yeah.
Like, we're still in this roller coaster. We all went off, but we can't get
like, you don't know, keep your mask on, keep your mask
off.
off. Like,
go here, can't go
can
here.
I sneeze? Can I not?
Can I breathe? Can I go out? Blah, blah, blah. And so when you take a couple minutes just to write down, I mean, I do the 3 things I'm grateful for every morning. And like, I wake up and that's the first thing I do.
Oh, I like that.
And like, I have a notebook right by my bed, so like, it's right next to my alarm clock. I have an actual alarm clock. Well, that's Wi-Fi enabled. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. But like, I go to turn it off, and then like I grab a notebook and I just write those 3 things down. And like, sometimes it's the same thing, but it's sort of like, it sort of sets my day in a nicer way. And I feel like that kind of routine, that moment for yourself, is necessary as we try and navigate this, because like, we're all forever changed as a result of this.
Yeah,
and
we definitely are.
And you know, and also we didn't survive this to play small and not be resilient. So it's good.
Being resilient, and gotta go big or go home right now.
Yeah, ain't no half stepping here.
No, we took a 2-year craze in 2022. We gotta go in hard right now.
Damn right.
Yeah.
Well, Stephanie, it was so great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I want to put all the details in the show notes. Follow Stephanie, her personal brand. Follow Pharmacy. Obviously, get all the SOGÉ prints, especially for home. Like,
go to SOGÉ Decor for home.
Get all that stuff for your home, because we all know we need good pillows. No matter where you are, everyone needs good pillows.
That's true.
Like, that is a thing you need, and so much more. And that is our show. Yeah.